Welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday, we're bringing you the latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, bill signings. That's what we got for you today. But we're here every day of the week. Rick.
Well, and twitter.com/thenose, you can find us always, even if the set looks a little bit different like it does today as we come scrambling out of the bill signing. The Twitter location just the same.
That doesn't change. Get us started, sir. What's your top line today?
Ago, President Obama very slowly and deliberately affixed his signature to the health care bill. It is now actually the law, and everything changes around the politics around this. We've talked for so long about what it means for the president, his political standing, his party standing. This is now law that changes the way that Democrats can talk about it, that changes, the story becomes about implementation. Republicans have to recast their strategy. This is a big moment for the president.
Both sides, exactly right, are going to have to recalibrate to the courts. This is part of what we're seeing coming out of the Republican strategy, Rick. A lot of Republican attorneys general and governors around the country are now that this is law in the land, filing motions in court because they are fighting back against the notion that that the federal government can mandate everyone in the states to carry health insurance. This is going to be a battle, I bet, we will see in court within a few years and probably in a high-profile fashion.
Actually, we may see it within minutes if the Virginia Attorney General is good to his word. He was going to walk over the court challenge as the president affixed his signature. So the court process has begun, even though the ink literally is not dry. Face-to-face. President Obama meets this afternoon with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It is a time of extraordinary tension between the two countries. Prime Minister Netanyahu giving a fiery speech last night at AIPAC, where he did not back down from the announcement of new settlements and new construction of housing units in East Jerusalem, saying that's their capital. This is going to be a moment, this is going to be outside of camera view for the two staunch allies to recast things a bit, to kind of step back from some of the heated remarks that have been flying on both sides of the ocean over the last couple of weeks.
And finally, our last top line, what next? Yes, Robert Gibbs from the podium yesterday in the briefing room at the White House started discussing what other agenda items President Obama is going to push now. We've got financial regulatory reform and campaign finance reform after that big Citizens United court decision came down. Those are going to be big ticket items. Obviously, energy and immigration, tougher items that they will put on the agenda further down the road. But it reminds us, Rick, this one item of health care has dominated everything.
Yeah, you check this one off, but you still have a huge list, and it's hard to imagine the coalitions coming together. Congress can only do so much at once, and this is a big thing to swallow right now. They're going to try to build some momentum off of this, but each one of those has its own challenges.
We're going to start by talking about the bill signing today and then the political fallout from thereafter. We're joined by Republican strategist Kevin Madden, who is always with us on Tuesday afternoons. Kevin, thank you for being here, sir.
Great to be with you guys. You know, I'm just realizing that two New Yorkers and a New Jersey guy, how fast we all talk.
It's so true. We'll try to take it down a notch here. Kevin,
okay.
When you saw the president sign that bill into law in the East Room, and you heard him say this is now where the overheated rhetoric matches up with the reality of the legislation, what is he getting at there?
Well, first of all, I think he's being a little bit naive there. We just finished the legislative season on this bill. You know, when the president said, and I wrote it down because I was struck by it when he said, this is a new season. It is a new season. It's the political season. This thing is going to be litigated in the court of public opinion now before the voters. You know, it is not all of a sudden a very popular measure with the American public. The president's coalition of Democrats and independents and even some Republicans, moderate Republicans, has been shattered as a result of the debate that's taken place over the last year. So the political season on this begins today.
Kevin, I want to talk a little bit about that, particularly from the Republican perspective as a Republican strategist. Clearly, we've heard over the last 24, 48 hours, a number of Republicans come out and say, the fight is on to repeal this bill. We're pushing to repeal it. What do you make of that as a strategy? Does that really answer the question that's in people's minds if you're talking about repealing, particularly in the context of the president talking about the things that are going to happen immediately that a lot of folks are going to like?
Well, I think the repeal message, or if it is a legislative track, I think what that tries to do is appeal to those that are have a most calcified opinion against this particular bill. But I think the risk there, Rick, is that a repeal as a message then becomes a litigation line by line of every single thing in this bill. You're going to see mainstream media and opponents of Republicans are going to go out there and say, well, do you want to repeal this? Do you want to repeal that? Do you want to repeal this? And a lot of those measures will be some of the more unobjectionable parts of the bill. So I think, and lastly, I'll say this. Healthcare is still as much a cost-driven debate as it is a value-driven debate. Republicans have to continue to go out there and talk about what we're for. How do we want to achieve greater access to care? How do we want to drive down costs? And I think that that's the most important tack for Republicans to take now, because we don't want to end up getting put in this box where we're always talking about what we're against with health care. If you look at 2000 to 2004, the reason we closed the debate to single digits on an issue like health care that was traditionally a Democrat issue was because we talked about what we were for.
And there was fear about returning to the party of no, as you're describing right now. And I'm wondering if you think that this bill passing without any Republican support gives credence to that Democratic attack again. It seems that you guys put that in a box towards the end of last year, and now I feel like it may creep back out from them, no?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, I think the next 90 days will tell us that. But remember, the party of no didn't stick. The electorate, as I've argued previously, was the electorate of no. They wanted no more federal spending out of Washington. They were saying no to deficits,
right,
and they were saying no to federal standards and federal mandates out of Washington being applied to 50 different states. So I think that what we have to do again is talk about what we're for and align ourselves with the public sentiment that drove the popularity of this bill down, which was the cost and the size of the bill.
Kevin Madden, Republican strategist, thank you very much for being with us.
Always great to be with you guys.
Thanks, Kevin.